Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lambda Ethereum Consensus Daily. Um, I'm going to start as always sharing the YouTube link, so let me a second. And that's it. Okay, updates. So, as we talked yesterday, at the beginning of the day, I was able to pinpoint what was the issue for one of the two problems that we have been seeing in the node running in Sepolia, specifically the one related to the node hanging when not every time, but sometimes when we start the syncing process, right? So the issue was, as I described yesterday, related to peer penalization, right? So we penalize peers too early, we remove them from the peer book, and then we just keep like looping into nothing. So that was the issue, and as we discussed yesterday, I were going to continue working on that because that will be useful to have in the node, even if we didn't solve the other issue, because probably the other one wasn't, so it won't be too harsh with the node. It won't break the node as it was doing right now, because I assumed that what was happening when we came back from that error and started to sync, we just hung out. So we just hung, and the problem was related to this peer book thing. Well, that was not the thing. So what happens? We have the problem of the peers, and that problem just is an issue in the beginning, right? When we start the node. Why? Because we just wait for 10 seconds or the time that it takes to start looking for peers, and it has like 3, 4, 5 peers, no more than that. That remove the peers and then everything hangs. When that doesn't happen, now that it's solved, it go past that moment, and when we have the error later, we didn't have this issue again because we have a lot of peers right now. So we don't have this issue that removing the peers so fast. And what happens is that the node still stop processing. So the error we were seeing in the second half of the node running, when this problem with the parent that doesn't appear in the tree root, when we saw that and we have that issue, the node stop processing. It doesn't mean that the node stop. It continues receiving blocks and going slot by slot, but it doesn't add new blocks to the fork choice. So those are the two things, right? I have the peer thing that is quick fixed in a way that it doesn't hurt the starting of the node. That was a bit of a problem with testing. That was what I was happening. But going forward, that was not part of the outstanding issue when the node is running, right? So when the node is running and we have this bug, the problem with the sync doesn't happen again. So I started looking a bit more into that. Instead of continuing with this with this part of the peer book, I was most interested in what was happening and tried to find what were the cause. We discarded the pruning, and I see another thing that was caught in my attention. It happens every time when we have this error. It was relating to blocks in the future. So one of the things that was happening was that we were receiving a block, and the block was in the future. But what I was seeing was that it was just one slot in the future. And it appears to be related to how fast Sepolia is working, and that we might be delayed a bit of milliseconds in our slot transition. So what I saw was the maximum gossip block disparity. I guess that's the name of the constant. We were taking that into account in the current slot calculation. So I started working on that, hoping that that was the problem. I worked on that. I fixed it. I just decided today that I'm going to pull that away and create a PR just for that, because it's pretty quick and I already created it. It's ready for review like a moment ago. but it didn't solve the issue. Again, it was another problem. It was there, but it was just happening at the same time. So all these things were happening at the same time, but they weren't the root cause. So yeah, it will solve the issue. I hope you have a review on that, Pierre, Tommy, and maybe help me having some insight on one of the things that I saw is that we are using the store time to calculate the current slot in most of the place, but not all of the places. Other places are using the system time. What I was trying to see was, okay, maybe we want to be in the past in the store when we process past blocks. That's not the case. We are always in sync with what's happening. We just are a bit delayed because we have the tick one time per second, so we may be 1 second late in that. What I did for the future slot calculations and taking note of the maximum block disparity, what I did was using the system time, because if we use the store time, we may be 1 second delayed, and we just want to be a couple of milliseconds and have this, it's 500 milliseconds, the disparity that we have in the config, that make us sure that we can process the block that it's coming in the correct slot, but we are just a bit delayed in our time, not in processing, right? It's related to time. So that's a lot of things happening at the same time. Sorry for that, but yeah, I'm going back and forward with a lot of this because they are intertwined. They are pretty close one another. Once that error happens, the other is there, and I just go to the other, and it doesn't change the root cause. So yeah, that's the update. I assume that right now you have a lot of questions, Tommy. So yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So definitely a non-trivial issue. I'm wondering. There's a couple of things. I don't know where to start from. So I think that there was an outstanding issue at some point in the state transition, maybe validations, but I don't remember if those were from attestations or maybe attestations, not from blocks. So I'm not sure if there was not a possibility of saving blocks that were in the future instead of just discarding them. And then when we are actually in the correct slot, then we can take the pending ones that are pending exclusively because of time and just perform state transition on them. That might be something that we want to do, especially if we have the parents already in the database. Like, I think that we have two completely separate cases. If we have the parents in the database, they are just pending, and if we don't, they are not pending. We just don't have the parents, and they are pending, but in a different way. Like, they are disconnected from the chain. But if they are connected, and the only problem is that they are in the future, it means that we are delayed or getting information up like ahead of time. Especially if it's just one slot. So it might be an issue of concurrency instead of an issue of like we misinterpreting the specs. And I'm not sure if that was something that was left to the user, like to the client builder to decide, or if it was specified in the specs. I don't know if you have been reading them more recently than I.
I didn't enter into that rabbit hole. What I saw was that in the particular case that this was checked, we have a comment regarding not taking into account the maximum cost, the maximum block disparity.
All right.
So I started looking into that, and I discovered that, okay, we were in fact just being a couple of milliseconds that were inside the block disparity. So what we were lacking in this particular case, in the warning that I was seeing related to this, was because of that, just because we weren't taking into account that particular config of the preset. And yeah, just taking that into account for the
But you're
future
saying that
calculation.
there's a separate issue, right? So
I don't saw the separate issue in the issues, but we have a to do comment in that particular section without an issue
sorry, I
pointer. But
didn't mean an
there
issue
was.
like a GitHub issue. I meant issue like a different problem. So like
Oh
we
yeah,
have a
yeah, yeah.
and why do we know that there is a different problem? Well, I mean, of course, you run the experiments and the problem is still there. But what I mean is, why does that not enter the disparity constant? Is it because the time difference is too big instead of
No,
like
no,
a
no,
couple of
no.
milliseconds?
No, the problem is that now we are not having any more problems related blocks in the future, but we are still having
Oh,
the problems related the parent of the
oh,
thing.
oh,
That's
okay.
that's the thing. So I fixed one. It wasn't the root cause that was making the node
No, so I mean,
processing.
this is like a separate thing, but congratulations, you actually solved an issue. We have a different
Yeah,
one
yeah.
now. We
Yes.
just to clarify, we don't have any more problems with future blocks. We solved that.
Apparently not. For the test
Yeah.
I was running, I didn't saw any other problems. I just have a bit of something that we might probably want to comment on the PR is related to why sometimes we are looking for the store time and sometimes we are looking for the system time. They are mostly the same. We can have like a couple of milliseconds of difference because of the tick, but yeah, maybe we just want to unify that. That's the
I
only
would
thing
pay
that
close attention to that, but I would expect that we probably want to use the store time, and not to be pedantic about it, but it is probably because like it makes testing everything way easier. Like all unit tests, if I like when I say unit test, I mean spec tests. Usually rely on the time being the store time, and because like time relies on ticks, then you can perform ticks and do not care what the actual system time is. Um, and if we have problems with that timing, then we might want to like find where the problem is. Like if there's a bottleneck that is not allowing the time to be updated like fast enough, etc.
yes. So,
But
well,
that's
regarding that, maybe we can
yeah.
make a bit of a modification for this particular fix because I used the season time because the maximum block disparity is 500 milliseconds and our tick is 1 second. So there
Mhm.
is no way that is useful for us because
Yes,
either we are in the slot we are wanting to calculate or we are not, and the
right.
maximum block disparity wouldn't help us to fix the issue. That's why
Yeah,
I used the system time, but I understand your point. And first I thought this
yeah.
is
Don't take my
good.
word for it. Like let's ping pong a couple of ideas. The PR is good. If everything is passing, just like leave a note or something,
Yes.
and then there's that something that we can focus on the future.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure. But yeah,
that's
that's something that we can discuss and create an issue for later. But just wanted to
right.
make you know that that's
Of course.
part of my thought process and probably something that we want to discuss. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I get that. That makes total sense. So, and we have a separate issue, right? We have
Yes.
an issue that is related to the node hanging and just hanging. And
Yeah.
when you say hanging, this is what I want to talk about.
Yes.
That could mean
It's
a plethora of different things. You
yes.
mean
It means a lot of things. What it's doing is it's continue going through the ticks. It's receiving new blocks, but the fork choice is not moving forward. That's what I mean with hanging. The node is
that?
running, but we are not going forward with the new blocks that we receive.
So that's a great description. It could be, of course, many different things. My intuition says that it's probably a bug in the pending blocks module. Like, for instance, like some of the things that I would get into are seeing if the pending blocks module is getting notified of the new blocks at all, like if we are getting any like the blocks or we're not. Second thing, if they are being put into the pending list instead of being processed, and there may many reasons like there may be many reasons for that, one of them being some block got put as invalid, for instance. And if a canonical block gets put as invalid, then everything that goes after it will automatically be put as invalid instead of pending, and it will never like recover from that. So it might be a bug in state transition if that's the case, or it got put as pending, but for some bug in pending blocks, we don't like. There's nothing making it react. Like there's nothing making it. Hey, remember that you have these impending blocks. You might as well like do something about it. Like you're not waiting for anything. You have everything you need. Maybe blobs are not downloading fast enough, or and maybe yeah.
From the cases you mentioned, there is one that I'm pretty sure that is happening. Is
Okay.
the one related to the invalid block.
Oh.
It's not because of the block being invalid per se, but because of not finding one of the previous blocks in the tree.
Oh.
So that's
That's
that's what
that's
I
not a.
saw like a couple of minutes
I
ago.
mean
One of the
that.
things that I saw now
Yeah.
that they solved the other related to blocks in the future, I still see this block is in the future, but that doesn't have anything to be with that problem. It's related to not finding the block in the tree. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
That is
and
super interesting. I would put
another
like not all my money on it, but 80% of it. That's probably
yes,
the actual problem
yes,
you're having. Like,
yes, and
yeah, because if
yeah,
if, if 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 a block that is supposed to be canonical is being set as invalid, that's an unrecoverable issue.
okay, okay,
And if it gets down to that point, every block that is canonical that you will receive in the future will be automatically marked as invalid, and you cannot recover from that
great.
because your
So
vision of the chain is basically that the current chain, like the official one or canonical one, is invalid. So you will never ever like perform state transition on any block that is like a child of an invalid block.
great. So then so this is great because I didn't need to look into that because I was going to look into why it was stopping.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure why it is stopping.
Okay.
I have yes, I have two ideas to go forward. One is related to trying to understand why that particular tree, the one that why that particular root is not in the tree when we received it. That's the clear root cause. The other is why it is being marked as invalid because of that, I assume. But yeah, I need to. So that's where I need to go now, right? So great to have that information, Tommy, because I just can. Not look into that and know that it's happening because we are putting a canonical block into an invalid state. So that's great news. Okay, yeah, I know where I need to look
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Might be excessive pruning, might be an error in the code of the
it's not
tree search.
it's not pruning. Hopefully, it's not the root being in the future. At least those two things are not the issue for sure.
Awesome.
But yeah, I need to know. One other thing that I discovered was that always the the root that is not there is the beginning of an epoch. It's not the beginning of the last epoch, but it's the beginning of an epoch. It's never a block in another place. It's always
Is
a
it
beginning.
is it by chance like the finalized block or something
No,
like
it's
that?
not. No, it's not that because
So
I,
it's
I
not
thought
pruning. Okay.
I thought it could be that related because of
Yeah.
pruning, but it's not that. Yeah. It's, at least
That is so strange.
yeah.
So
So it is.
hmm,
Yeah, yeah. But
I
but
mean,
yeah,
yeah, might
I'm
be a
pretty
bug on the
sure.
tree code. But yeah,
Uh,
I
I hope not. But yeah, I'm going to look into it. Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Good luck with that. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
Thanks. Probably if I have more information, I'm going to ping you, Tommy, and have your thoughts on that for sure.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm going to continue working on that. This PR related to just the blocks in the future is ready for review, so you can take a look at it and we can discuss what we said about the system time and the store time and what we want to do in the future. Maybe we can create an issue for that. Yeah, I'm going to continue working on the tree code for sure. Yeah, I'm going to work on that.
All
So
right.
thanks,
Perfect.
Tommy.
Yeah.
Thanks
Of course.
for your input and your thoughts. And yeah, hope to have more information for tomorrow. So I'm going to continue working on this.
Awesome.
So everyone, have a good one, and we can see you next time tomorrow.